When Dwayne Johnson was just 14 years old, standing 6'4" and weighing 225 pounds, his classmates and teachers didn't think he was a student. They thought he was an undercover cop, a 14-year-old, already built like a grown man. And here is the wild part. That body, the one that made everyone around him nervous just standing in a hallway, it wasn't enough for him. He wanted more. He wanted to build something the world had never seen. And what he built is exactly what we are breaking down today.
He was able to identify with the people, and in turn, they were able to identify with him.
Welcome to This Workout Gets You Jacked Like Dwayne Johnson. By the end of this video, you are going to understand the exact system that turned a broke, arrested, depressed kid with $7 in his pocket into the highest-paid entertainer on the planet. And more importantly, you are going to know exactly which parts of that system you can start using in your own life today. But before we get into the rock workout, I need to tell you where this all started, because if you think Dwayne Johnson was born with every advantage, you are about to be very wrong. By the time Dwayne Johnson was 17, he had been arrested 8 or 9 times. Theft, fighting, running with a theft ring in Waikiki, hitting the high-end stores on the tourist strip, Prada, Gucci, Armani, jewelry stores. No safety net, no plan. His family had been evicted when he was 14, and for a while, there was no future that looked like anything worth having. Then a football coach named Jody Quick asked him to join the team, and everything changed. His grades improved, colleges started calling. He earned a scholarship to the University of Miami and played with genuine ambition. His dream was the NFL. He trained for it. He believed in it completely. He didn't get drafted. Not a single team called. He was cut from the Calgary Stampeders of the Canadian Football League in his first season, sent home, broke, humiliated. He moved back into a tiny apartment with his parents at age 23 and fell into a serious depression that made it hard to get out of bed. At the lowest point of that period, Dwayne Johnson had $7 in his pocket. He later named his production company $7 Productions, specifically to honor that moment. The bottom of the bottom, the place from which everything that followed was built. Now, here is where the story gets interesting, because most people at that moment quit. They find a way to explain why the life they wanted was never really possible for them. Dwayne Johnson did something different. He picked up the iron. And here is my honest opinion. Before the movies, before the fortune, before everything, Dwayne Johnson was the most charismatic professional wrestler of all time. Not the biggest, not the most technically gifted, the most charismatic. When The Rock picked up a microphone, the entire arena belonged to him. The catchphrases, the eyebrow, the ability to make 60,000 people feel like he was talking directly to them. Nobody in wrestling history has done that better. And the persona he built in the WWE was built on exactly the same thing his physique is built on: relentless daily work. He signed with the WWF in 1996 as Rocky Maivia, a combination of his father's and grandfather's wrestling names, making Dwayne Johnson the first third-generation professional wrestler in WWE history. By 1998, he had won the WWF Championship. He would go on to win it 8 times. His match against Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania in 2002 is one of the most electric moments in the sport's history. And when he had conquered everything there was to conquer in that world, he walked into Hollywood and conquered that too. So the question you should be asking right now is this: what did he actually do in the gym that built all of this? Because here is the thing most people miss about the Rock motivation story. The mindset is inspiring, but the method is what actually produced the results. Let's get into it. The alarm goes off at 3:30 in the morning, sometimes 4. Dwayne Johnson has spoken about running on 3 to 5 hours of sleep, not because he recommends it, but because the volume of work he is trying to accomplish demands it. Before anything else, water, then coffee, then cardio. 30 to 50 minutes of running or elliptical, done before most of the world has opened its eyes. He has said his morning cardio is what anchors everything that follows, that it sets a tone of commitment that carries through every decision he makes for the rest of the day. And here is something I want you to really hear. He is not doing this because he always wants to. He is doing this because the decision was made the night before. The plan exists. The schedule exists. The feeling in the morning is completely irrelevant. That one shift in thinking, deciding before you are tired, before the bed is comfortable, before the excuses arrive, is available to you right now. No equipment required. Then comes the Iron Paradise. That is what Dwayne Johnson calls his personal gym. A traveling facility that accompanies him to every filming location on Earth, carrying over 40,000 pounds of weight, so he never has to compromise his training regardless of where the job takes him. 40,000 pounds, packed into trucks and shipped across continents. because the Dwayne Johnson workout does not get canceled because you are in a different time zone. He trains 6 days a week on a split targeting different muscle groups each session: legs, back, chest, shoulders, arms, combination day. The sessions run 90 minutes to 2 hours in the gym, on top of the morning cardio. 4 sets, 12 reps, heavy. Compound movements first: squats, deadlifts, bench press, rows, overhead press, with isolation work added on top based on what the specific role requires. His leg days are particularly notorious. Programs for specific roles have included sets of 50 reps on leg press, 50 consecutive reps with serious weight. If you have ever done that, you know what it costs. If you haven't, try it before you form an opinion on whether this is relatable. Here is a fact about Dwayne Johnson that most people don't know. He accidentally knocked out his co-star Michael Clark Duncan on the set of The Scorpion King in 2002. They were filming a fight scene. Duncan leaned in too far, and The Rock's elbow connected cleanly with his chin. Duncan went down completely unconscious. Johnson has told this story publicly himself, and it tells you something real about the difference between the physical presence you see on screen and the actual physical reality of Dwayne Johnson. Now let's talk about food, because here is where most people's versions of the Rock workout fall apart entirely. 5 to 7 meals per day, every 2 to 3 hours, approximately 5,000 calories during bulk phases. His preferred protein sources are cod. He is famous for consuming pounds of it daily, along with chicken, eggs, steak, and protein shakes. Carbohydrate sources are white rice, sweet potatoes, oatmeal, and vegetables. Every meal prepared in advance, portioned precisely, consumed with the same methodical discipline that defines every other area of his preparation. He does not guess. Every meal is a deliberate act of fueling the machine. And then there is the cheat day. Because Dwayne Johnson's cheat days have become almost as famous as his training. A single documented cheat day included 12 pancakes, 4 double-doubles from In-N-Out, and 21 brownies. These are not exaggerated numbers. He posts the evidence. And the reason it works? The reason he can eat that and return to the Iron Paradise the next morning without it derailing everything is because every other day of the week, the discipline is absolute. You earn the cheat day. It does not arrive on its own. Now, here is what matters for you, because I know what you are thinking. You do not have a traveling gym. You do not have 40,000 pounds of iron following you around the world. You do not have meals prepared by a nutritional team. And you are right, you don't. But here is what you do have, and what Dwayne Johnson also had when he was standing in that apartment with $7 and no path forward. The choice. The daily, unremarkable, unglamorous choice to do something today that makes tomorrow slightly better than it would have been otherwise. That is the foundation of the Rock motivation. Not the Iron Paradise, not the cheat day, the choice made before the world is awake. Here is how you apply it. The first principle is the morning anchor. Start every day with something physical before the day gives you a reason not to. Your version does not need to be a 50-minute run at 4 in the morning. It needs to be something done first, before the day's demands crowd it out. 10 minutes done consistently every morning for a year will produce more change than a perfect program started twice and abandoned. Non-negotiable. The second principle is the 6-day commitment. Dwayne Johnson trains 6 days a week, not because he always feels like it, but because the decision was made before the feeling arrived. Decide your training days in advance. Write them down. Treat them like the appointments they are. The third principle is compound movements first. Every Dwayne Johnson workout is anchored in the big movements: squats, deadlifts, rows, presses. These produce the most total body adaptation in the shortest period of time. If they are not the foundation of your program, rebuild your program around them. The fourth principle is feed the work. You cannot train with the intensity of the Rock workout and fuel it with casual eating. Protein with every meal, real food, consistent timing. The nutrition is not separate from the training. It is the other half of the same system. The fifth principle is the long view. What you see when you look at Dwayne Johnson today is the compound interest of 20+ years of daily deposits. Not a transformation, an accumulation. Start making deposits. The account builds whether you can see it growing or not. One final thing. Dwayne Johnson went from $7 in his pocket and no future to one of the highest paid entertainers in history. His films have generated nearly $15 billion worldwide. He co-founded a tequila company valued at over $3 billion. He named his production company after his lowest moment. He did all of this not despite the hard years, but because of them. because those years taught him something about discipline and daily commitment that success alone never could have. He was a kid who looked like a cop at 14, a young man with $7 and a broken dream at 23, and he became Dwayne Johnson, the standard against which physical discipline, mental toughness, and the willingness to show up every single day are measured. Now, everybody is different, and if you want to see how other legendary athletes built their specific physiques for their specific body types, we have got a full library of breakdowns on this channel, covering some of the most iconic training systems in history. Click through and find the one that fits your body, your goals, and your starting point. The work is the same. The destination is yours to choose. The Iron Paradise is open. Now go train!